Hello. I've been laying in bed now for about, this is the second day. So I had my surgery on Wednesday. Thursday, I stayed out in bed. Today's Friday, the 14th of July, I believe. And I have my little heating pad on my neck because my neck is hurting, but my abdomen is hurting as well. But my neck and my shoulders hurting pretty bad now. So I've literally been sitting here, laying in bed, sleeping on and off, not doing really much of anything. I tried to read a book, but I didn't really get far. Then I've been watching TV a lot. Well, not a whole lot, but just like a few times here and there, I'll turn the TV on and watch it. I just watched Magic Mike's Last Dance, which was okay movie, not the greatest, but it was cool. I never seen any of the Magic Mike movies before. Now I'm watching 90 Day Fiance before the 90 days. I feel like all the couples are kind of like, boo, like they're not as good, but it is what it is. I haven't been moving around too much because I'm still in a lot of pain. I have been able to get up and move around and go to the bathroom, so that's good by myself. But it hurts to breathe in, and sometimes it hurts to get up and move around. It's like, yeah, but I'm so glad that the surgery happened and that I'm able to finally not be in as much pain as I used to be when around my period. I know I'm gonna have my period in a couple weeks, so we're gonna definitely see how that how I feel around that time. But now I'm just healing from the incisions, and let's show you guys. So these are my incisions. And they hurt a little bit. I haven't showered since Tuesday night. I showered. Wednesday I didn't shower. Thursday I didn't shower. Today's Friday, and I'm probably not gonna shower because it's so hard to, like, I can stand up and stuff, but like I don't really want to have to get, like, I don't have the energy. I don't have really any energy to do anything except for sit here, eat, watch TV, go to the bathroom. Oh man, it's terrible. But I'm ready to get back on my feet, get back outside, whatever that looks like. But I'll be off for the next couple weeks, so that should be fine. And then, yeah, so that's all I have to update as of this time. I'll probably talk about it more later once I'm out of the bed, but for now, I'm here. Okay. All right, so as y'all saw in the beginning of the video, this is going to be about my endometriosis story, how I discovered I had endometriosis, and kind of like my journey up until the point that I am at now. So as y'all saw, the previous clip was just after I had my surgery, my healing process, and everything like that. Let's kind of do a little bit of a rewind and tell you kind of like how we got to this point of me even finding out that I have this situation going on. I was having a lot of pain around my menstrual cycle, a lot of cramping, like severe cramping, nausea, vomiting, sweats, just all of this was happening about 2 to 3 weeks before my menstrual cycle. And to give you guys a bit of a timeline, this started probably like back in 2022 going into 2023 that I was experiencing these symptoms, kind of like had an uptick in symptoms. I've always had severe cramping. I've always had issues related to my menstrual cycle when it comes to pain. I was always kind of like taught that it was normal, in a sense, that this was normal, but this time it was not normal.
And it never really is normal, to be honest with y'all. For anyone, any woman or any person who has a uterus, severe cramping, heavy bleeding, none of that is normal. They try to make it seem like it is, but it's not. If you have an OB who's telling you, oh, that's normal, OB as in a, you know, gynecologist, it's not normal, right? So I go to the doctor one day because I'm having this pain, this pelvic pain, these abdominal cramping pain. I go to my regular OB gynecologist, and mind you, I've been going to her for several years now. Like, I had been going to her for several years up until that point. And I told her, like, hey, this is what's happening. I'm having this cramping, like, in my uterus, like in my ovaries on my right and my left side. And it's making me feel nauseous and just making me kind of like have vomiting. And she's like, oh, you know, it's just probably ovulation pain. You probably have an ovulation pain. She pulls out this diagram and she's like, you know, this is what happens when you have your menstrual cycle. When you start ovulating, the egg does this and your fallopian tubes do this and this and that. And, you know, give me the whole little doctor spiel or whatever, the whole little gynecology spiel, like, this is what's going on with your body, right? She's telling me what's going on with my own body. What's going on with my own body, right? So I'm like, okay, you know, all right. And she's like, yeah, you probably just need to take like some ibuprofen. I'll prescribe some for you, right? Send you on your own little way. So at that time, I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, she don't want to hear what I gotta say, so I'm just gonna go on about my day, go on about my time. I felt a little bit defeated, honestly. I felt defeated, and I really didn't know what else to do. I don't know what to do, but I had to advocate for myself. I had to figure out what's going on. So in the time between, in the meantime, I just, you know, I was like, okay, cool. I do a little bit of research online, just searching up a bunch of stuff, searching up my symptoms. You know how we do. We go online, we go to Google, WebMD, whatever. We search our symptoms, even though we're not supposed to. We do it anyway. And that's essentially what I was doing. I was researching my symptoms. I was trying to figure out, like, what's going on with me? Because if my doctor's not telling me, then I'm going to figure it out for myself. That's kind of how I got to figure out, like, what I essentially diagnosed myself, even though I wasn't supposed to. I did anyway. I'm still having this pain. I'm still having the pelvic pain. I'm like, there was an episode where I'm using the bathroom. I'm going number 2, sorry, TMI, and I am hauled over on the toilet, cramping to the point where I'm like, God, please, please. I'm like praying. I got sweat pouring down my face. My heart is beating. My uterus is going crazy, cramping crazy. And I'm like, this is not right. This is not right. I have to go back to the doctor. I have to tell her what's going on. I go back to my doctor. I tell her exactly what I'm experiencing. She's like, okay, yeah, well, okay. So we do a pelvic exam, and pelvic exam, she goes, she feels around in my uterus, and she feels on my right side over by my ovaries, and she kind of feels something. She's like, hey, do you feel like a little bit this heaviness? And do you feel a little bit of pain on this side and fullness? I'm like, yeah, I do. And so she kind of calls her little person over to little walkie-talkie, and she tells, you know, the medical assistant to come in, bring in the this machine. So this machine is it's an ultrasound. It's like basic ultrasound to look into your uterus, your ovaries, and see what's going on inside. It's called an intravaginal ultrasound. So we do the ultrasound, and I'm kind of like looking at her face. She's like moving the wand around inside me, and kind of looking and kind of taking a little bit of taking pictures and stuff like that. So she prints out the image from the machine, and she goes, there it is. There it is. There you go. And I'm like, okay, well, what is it? What am I looking at? And she's like, well, that's the endometrioma. and it's on my right ovary. This large cyst is called, what they called a chocolate cyst, which is a fluid-filled sac of basically like period blood, and is sitting on my right ovary. It's what's basically causing all this pain when I menstruate. And we have this very awkward conversation. She's like, you know, well, you know what's best for your body. You know what's going on. I'm like, yes, I know what's going on with my body, but you tried to tell me, I'm not saying this to her face, but I'm like, yeah, you know, I feel better that I see something that I know that, you know, something is not right. From that conversation, we decide she's gonna refer me to get a more in-depth ultrasound where they can take pictures, they can look at my whole uterus, they can take pictures of my ovaries and see what's going on both my right and my left ovary, because obviously we know that I have an endometrium on my right ovary, but I'm also feeling pain on my left side. So I'm having pain all over inside my uterus at this point. So we do the ultrasound. I go in, it's a very uncomfortable procedure. Honestly, it's very awkward, but it is what it is. It's going to give me results to know what's happening inside my body. About a week or so later, we get the results. My doctor calls me. She's like, you know, you have this endometrioma. It's about 6 centimeters. There's a chance that, you know, it could potentially burst. This is called an ovarian torsion. Make sure that you basically don't have sex. Make sure that you be careful with how you move. No like jumping on trampolines, no doing extraneous exercises or anything like that, because there's a possibility that this ovarian cyst could burst and you'll be in a hell of a lot of pain. It will be extremely excruciating pain, and it won't be fun. So if that happens, if you're experiencing this pain, that is 10 out of 10, call 911 and go to the ER, basically. So she is like, okay, we can either watch the cyst and see if it decreases in size, or we can refer you to surgery and get it removed. And all of this information is very new to me. Like, I'm processing this information right here, right now in this phone call. And she's like, what do you want to do? I don't know what I want to do. Like, this is a whole lot of information. I really did not know what to do. So I was like, okay, well, we can just kind of watch the cyst and see if it decreases in size, because there's a possibility that this cyst could shrink over the next couple of weeks. So I'm like, okay, well, let's do that. But I'm still having pain. I'm still experiencing all this pain and still having this, what's going on inside my body. So about a week or so later, maybe a couple of days later, I'm like having pain. Like, this thing is beating me up inside. It's going crazy inside my body, right? I'm having these symptoms. Mind you, my cycle was not really too crazy. My cycle wasn't really too crazy. I wasn't having super heavy bleeding. I wasn't having too many abnormal symptoms, but it was mostly just the pain. It was the stabbing pain. It was debilitating, cramping, over the top, 10 out of 10. Honestly, I can't really describe it. So after I had that experience, like the week after I had the consult with my doctor, I told her I need to take me back, to send me to the surgeon, cut me open at this point, because I'm ready for this to be done. I can't deal with this pain anymore. All right, so after I tell her, basically refer me to surgery, it took like maybe a week to get the phone call to get the appointment to refer me to surgery. So I get my surgery date. It's 2 months later. The surgery is 2 months later, right? So here it is. I think maybe April of 2023 is when I had the phone call and I got confirmed for the surgery. yeah, so I had 2 more cycles that I had to endure of pain dealing with this, but it's just what it is. Like, that's how it was set up. There was only like there's only one like surgeon that knew specifically endometriosis, because excision is the best in the gold standard for my situation in my case. So I had to wait. Oh, I didn't even tell y'all, like, after I got the results from the endometrioma, like, basically it was kind of, she was like, yeah, basically you could possibly have, you know, endometriosis. I get referred to the surgeon. I talked to her. She's like, oh yeah, this could be, basically you might have endometriosis. There's 4 stages. This is what, you know, she shows me pictures on the computer of what the different stages of endometriosis is. And because I have an endometrioma, basically I pretty much have endometriosis, but they cannot diagnose me until I have the laparoscopic surgery to go in and look at my full uterus and see if there are lesions that are on the uterus or outside of the uterus. That's basically the confirmation. No one can be diagnosed with endometriosis without a laparoscopic surgery, at least from my understanding and from my research and from what I've been told. Anyway, so fast forward all that. After I talked to the surgeon, she tells me basically you might have endometriosis, whatever. I get the confirmation for my laparoscopic surgery, which is 2 months later. I go in July 12th of 2023 is when I have my surgery, and that was the clip y'all saw in the beginning of the video. They do 4 incisions on my abdomen. They do 1 on the right side, 1 on top of the belly button, and 2 on my left side. Or I think, let me see. Yeah, sorry, I had to check because I couldn't remember. Sorry, I have 2. That was really weird, but I have 2 on my right side, 1 on top of my belly button and 1 on the left side. And those are the scars y'all seen in the previous clip at the beginning of the video. So they go in, they take, and it's robotic assist laparoscopic surgery. So robots, that's the technology that they had for my surgery. So basically it's robotic assist, which means robots went in and helped to do this surgery, which is kind of crazy beyond me. Yeah, so they go in, they look throughout my whole uterus, on my ovaries, they take pictures, they do what they need to do, they look around, they find the lesions, they excise them, they cut them out. They do not burn them out, they cut them out, because if you burn them out, that's ablation, and there's a possibility that they can come back faster. But I don't want to get into that right now. But anyways, they go in, they drain the cyst, this large cyst, which turned out to be 10 centimeters. They drain it. They go in, they find the lesions, they they cut them out. They send them for pathology so that you can know and see what they are. Obviously, you know, determine what it is, give the confirmation. They cut out the lesions, send them to pathology. So a week later, I get my results on my my little portal, right? I get my results. It reads, you know, confirmation, endometriosis. It gives me the full report. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't really know how to absorb the information. I'm like looking at it, I'm lying in bed. I'm, at this point, I'm having my, during my healing process. So I'm still like healing, right? I had about 6 weeks that I was off of work, and I advocated for that because normally it's about 2 weeks. Anyway, so I get the results. About a week later or 2 weeks later, I go back in to talk to my surgeon. She confirms like, hey, you have endometriosis. This is what's going on. We went in, she shows me pictures. Mind you, I have pictures of this. Obviously, I'm not going to show them because that's very intimate, but I have pictures of what everything looked like, what the cysts looked like, what the lesions looked like before, and what it looked like after they took it out. So she's like showing me, she's like kind of low-key fascinated by it, which is a little bit weird, but I was also fascinated by it because I never seen nothing like this. Like, I didn't know what my body like is doing, like what's happening inside me, right? So I was a little bit fascinated too, and I'm looking at everything, and I'm like taking pictures of everything. She allowed me to take pictures because I asked to like take pictures. Yeah, so it was interesting. I was able to see the large ovarian cyst that was on my uterus that was causing all this pain. I was able to see the endometrial lesions outside of my uterus that was also causing me a lot of pain. Yeah, so she shows me the pictures. She tells me like, hey, this is what's going on with your body. You have endometriosis, you know, there's no cure for it. Well, she didn't say there's no cure for it. Later down the line, she said there's no cure for it. But yeah, so she's like, okay, so how do we treat it? How do we manage it? How do we deal with this now that you know what's going on with your body? And the treatment plan was to take birth control. So she put me on a progesterone pill to suppress the endometrial lesions. So each month, essentially what happens is that endometriosis it's the thickening of the uterus that's normally inside is outside. That's what endometriosis is. It's outside of the uterus. So you have these lesions that are bleeding outside of the uterus when they should not be. But to keep those kind of like at bay, to keep the lesions from causing more tissue scar within the uterus, right? And I hope I'm saying all this right, but this is what I'm getting from what they're telling me. So she's like, okay, basically you need to take the birth control. That's literally your only option. That's your only option, and it is what it is. Like, that's it. Now, I want to kind of give you guys more of a breakdown of what happened after that, but I want to cut the video here because that's essentially how I found out I had endometriosis, what was going on with my body, the symptoms that I was having, kind of like my story up into the point where I get diagnosed, and she's telling me like, basically, you know, in order to manage this, you have to take birth control. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I do want to have another video explaining more about the birth control and what has happened and occurred since then, of trying out different methods of dealing with endometriosis. So that is my story. I hope that this was helpful and kind of eye-opening for someone out there who is maybe experiencing similar symptoms or in a similar situation where they don't know if they have endometriosis. And that is a hard word to say, endometriosis. But if you have anything similar, or if you can resonate with this story, just give me like a comment below. I want to build some community around this and just put my story out there. I follow a lot of pages on Instagram currently for like just support and community, and I would love to find some support and community on YouTube as well. When I was first learning about all of this, there was not a lot of people who looked like me that was dealing with this whole diagnosis and this new diagnosis. There's not a lot of people of color that I am familiar with that I've come across that kind of are going through this. I have one friend who I do know who is going through this, and she's helped me out a lot with just being in discussion with her about like her symptoms and what's going on around that. Yeah, so I know that was a long video, very long video, but I really wanted to put this out there. I know I've been off of YouTube for quite some time, but I'm back with this video and kind of hoping that this gives me a little bit more momentum to put some more videos out there and to kind of tell my story. So if y'all got this far of the video. Thank y'all for rocking with me so far. And yeah, just stay tuned. Stay tuned with other videos that I have kind of explaining more about this process and this journey, because it's definitely a journey. It's definitely new for me. So stay tuned. All right, y'all. Peace.